Broadcasting live from the Murrow College of Communications. It's the Evan Pretzer Show. And now, your host, Evan Pretzer.
Hi there, Sarah. I want to thank you for sitting down to speak with me today. Now, to start off, I gotta say, I found your charity, and for people that don't know, what you guys do is you help people escape North Korea. Now, the average person growing up, that's not something that most kids want to do. How did you start working for the group, and is it something that you always wanted to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I actually had no idea about what was going on in North Korea until college. So, I had always had an interest in social justice and human rights situations happening around the world, and I knew that I wanted to do something good for other people with my life. But until hearing about liberty in North Korea, I didn't know much about the situation there. So actually, I was studying international relations in college, and it was my junior year, and I was searching for summer internships at a bunch of different nonprofit organizations around the U.S. And through that research, I stumbled across Link's website. I went to the North Korea Learn section on the site, and that was the first time that I heard about prison camps still existing today in North Korea. I heard about the famine that happened in the 90s and the fact that refugees, thousands of refugees are escaping, and some of them, are being sent back to North Korea, where they face torture, public execution. And so I was just really shocked when I heard about the situation, because I thought I was pretty well educated, and since I had an interest in other issues going on, I was first of all shocked that I didn't know about it, and of course shocked at just how horrible the situation is in North Korea. But on top of that, I was just really impressed with the work that Link was doing and still does today, empowering North Korean refugees, and really focusing on the North Korean people versus focusing on the regime and the high politics. So yeah. I guess a little bit more about kind of my journey with Link up to this point is, I applied for that summer internship, and fortunately I was accepted, and so that was summer 2010, and I was an intern out here in our headquarters in Torrance, California, just south of LA, and through that experience, it definitely became an issue that became a lot more personal to me. I think initially I was attracted to the situation because not that many people knew about it, and it was so complex. But after working at Link that summer, I was able to meet some North Korean refugees and really hear about more on a micro level the stories of the North Korean people. And I definitely saw that there was so much hope in the situation through these refugees and through the North Korean people. I interned with them that summer. I went back to university for a year, and I started a rescue team on my campus. So a rescue team is a group that fundraises to rescue refugees. So we actually raised enough funds to rescue a refugee, and we hosted a lot of events on campus to reach people and let them know about what's happening. And then after I graduated, I decided that I definitely wanted to focus on this issue long term and stay involved with the organization in whatever way possible. So I was a Northeast nomad, or a traveling representative for the organization for both the fall and the spring, and then summer 2012 is when I became full-time staff. So.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that at the organization you've met some people who have escaped North Korea. I've got to ask you, as an American, what was it like meeting someone who grew up in North Korea for the first time? Were they intimidated to be around you a little bit because of propaganda about the U.S. that they hear about? Or were they, fairly collected, so to speak?
In my personal experience, I've always met with refugees quite a bit after they've already resettled to either South Korea or the United States. So I was never, the first American that they met. So usually by that time, their perception had changed. So I've been able to meet around, I think around like 7 refugees so far. And yeah, that hasn't really been an issue. But I have heard from my colleagues who, have worked in the field doing the rescue missions, that perception definitely does exist at first. For some of the refugees, they've grown up hearing that Americans are our enemy, that we, are somewhat responsible for their situation. And yeah, just through the propaganda that they hear growing up in North Korea, some of them have had that perception, but that perception is quickly broken down because, of course, we have the rescue missions, and they're at no cost or condition to the refugees. So they definitely see through the actions of an American-based organization, and the Americans who work for our organization that help them, that is not the case, that Americans, aren't the enemy anymore once that happens. And I think just like relating to them on a human level has really helped break that perception. But yeah, I can't speak like personally to that, but I know that some of my coworkers have been like the first foreigners or the first white people even that some North Koreans have met. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Now, what I think a lot of people are probably just generally aware about when people leave North Korea is that most people settle in South Korea because it's close, similar culture, similar history. But some North Koreans have also come to the United States and settled here. On average, just out of curiosity, and if you could tell me, or how many North Koreans has Link helped settle in the United States?
In the United States, I don't have the exact number actually, so I can definitely get back to you with that. But I know that it's around 25 to 30 North Korean refugees who we've helped resettle in the United States, and the rest have chosen to go to South Korea.
Now, for the ones that settle in the United States, how long do you provide, like, I guess, post-settlement, like, guidance, like helping them with their day-to-day life after they come to the country?
Yeah, so that process, what that looks like, it's a very customized case management process. So there's no, defined timeline of, 6 months or 2 years or anything like that. It really is on a case-by-case basis. Of course, the ultimate goal is for the refugees, for them to be empowered and successful, and self-sufficient. So all of our resettlement assistance is very geared toward empowering the refugees in their new lives. So what that looks like, we offer services. We connect them sometimes with English tutors or other tutors. We connect them with other benefits that they are offered through other agencies or the government that they may not know about. So connect them with those services, connect them with legal assistance, help them apply for jobs, and also provide them scholarship support if they're in school. So those are just some of the ranges of things that we assist them with throughout their resettlement, because oftentimes, of course, life is better in the United States or in South Korea than what they've previously experienced, but there are still a lot of challenges as they adjust to a new city, a new culture. So we definitely provide them with services that can really empower them.
Yeah. Now, I've got to ask, for those refugees that have settled in the United States, has anyone ever come back to Link and been so, well, I guess the word would be, uncomfortable in America that they've wanted to go to South Korea and, change their location? Has that ever happened?
Oh, that's a good question. That hasn't happened to my knowledge. All of the refugees that I've heard of that have resettled to the United States, although they have encountered challenges, they really have adjusted well. They start going to school or they start new jobs. Actually, one of the refugees that is resettled to the United States, she has opened her own business, so her own convenience store, and she's found that a lot of success in that. Another refugee who's resettled to a certain city, she's actually become kind of a leader in the refugee community there. Because there aren't that many North Korean refugees who've resettled in the United States, it's really awesome to see, one of the refugees that Link has rescued really step into a leadership role and help other refugees adjust when they resettle there. So those are, just a few examples of refugees who have, really thrived in their new lives here. Another example is a refugee named Joseph Kim. He was one of the first refugees that Link rescued. And he recently spoke at TED Global in Edinburgh. So his TED Talk is online. He's just an incredible person, very highly motivated individual, and he's currently in college right now. And he actually came here. He was an orphan in North Korea, and he resettled to the United States and lived with foster parents. But now he's completely independent in his city, going to university, and really just doing very, very well for himself. So he's someone that, we have assisted, but it's just so prevalent. It's so obvious that he is where he is today, just because of his own motivation. And we're just fortunate, we're privileged that we were able to help him in some way.
Now, Sarah, I want to jump around here and talk about the rescue process. You guys operate over in Asia and China, and what most people probably don't know is that when the Chinese catch someone from North Korea trying to escape by traveling through that country, they forcibly send them back to either a heavy prison term or execution. And so what Link does is unquestionably dangerous work. Has anyone in your organization ever come close to arrest or death while operating in China?
Yeah, and that's a really great question, and of course a good concern as well. And we do operate, underground secretively in China and Southeast Asia. And I guess the easiest way to picture what we do is described as a modern day underground railroad. So we have, a passage model that ensures that refugees, are treated with dignity and respect throughout that risky journey. And it's at no cost or condition to the refugees. In regards to your question about if anyone has been, caught or arrested, we've had a 100% success rate with our rescue missions. So that means all of the refugees that we've helped have been able to safely resettle to either South Korea or the U.S. And all of our, partners on the ground and staff members who assist on the rescue missions have been safe as well. There was one incident when Link first started rescuing refugees where there was an arrest made in China. So it was actually a group. This was when rescue missions were done by rushing embassy gates in China. Since then, the rescue mission process has changed because security has tightened by the Chinese authorities there. But yeah, there was actually a small group of refugees and partners on the ground who were arrested. Through quiet diplomacy and negotiation, the refugees were allowed to go on to South Korea and safely resettle there, but they were imprisoned for a time, and a few staff members and partners on the ground were arrested as well, but they were able to be released. So it is definitely a dangerous situation, and any time that we're on a rescue mission in China, we're at the mercy of whatever country that we're in doing these rescue missions. But that just highlights the importance of this work and the importance of rescuing refugees and allowing them the option to safely escape. So everyone involved in the rescue mission process is definitely aware of these risks. But they know that we take every precaution in making sure that the journey is as safe as possible. We've, like I said, all of the refugees that we've helped have been, successfully rescued and resettled. So, yeah.
Wow. Hopefully you guys continue to stay safe in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
In closing, I got to ask a couple of things.
Yeah.
How do you feel about organizations like Vice? They recently went to North Korea with Dennis Rodman and spent some time hanging out with Kim Jong-un. Are they exploitive or informative in your view? And also, recently the Tampa Bay Times did an excellent investigation on some of the worst charities in America. Fortunately, Link was not on there. The issue was with these charities, they raise a lot of money, but yet a lot of what they take in goes to the people that run these organizations, and very, very little of the revenue they raise goes to the people they're claiming to help. So I've got to ask, of the money that Link takes in each year, how much of what you guys raise goes to operating costs, and how much goes to the people you're trying to help?
Yeah, those are some great questions. I guess I'll address your first question about Vice first. So I actually haven't watched much about their trips with Dennis Rodman. I kind of avoided watching Dennis Rodman interviews, and I haven't been able to watch that video yet. So I can't speak to it fully, but I do know that they have been focusing more on the relationship with Kim Jong-un and the level of high politics in North Korea. We believe that change in North Korea is going to come from the North Korean people, from the bottom up. That's not to say that Kim Jong-un, he may be responsible for helping transform his country one day. But as of now, he's really, taken from the same playbook as his father and his grandfather. He's tightened border security. He hasn't improved the situation for the average North Korean. As far as Vice and Vice and those documentaries, I think there is some value in that. I think showing people a look inside North Korea, even if it's at the level of just those in Pyongyang and the capital city, and just at the level of high politics, I think it does reach people. I've talked to many of our supporters who actually first found out about North Korea and this issue by watching a Vice Guide to North Korea video. So I think that it does reach some people and inspire them to learn more about the situation. So that's good. But I definitely think that Vice and Dennis Rodman and other people in general, we need to shift the focus to the North Korean people, not only to the challenges that they're facing and the oppression that they've had to endure under the North Korean government, but also the hope that there is in the situation and the power and potential that they have to change their country, because I think that is the type of information that will really inspire and encourage more people to get involved, to care about this issue, and to help empower the North Korean people. Your second question was in regards to our finances. Could you ask specifically what that question was again?
Recently I saw an investigation from the Tampa Bay Times, and they highlighted the 50 worst charities in America. Fortunately, you guys were not on there, but the issue with these charities was for a lot of the money they take in, very little of it, in fact less than 5%, went to the people they were claiming to help, and most of it just lined the pockets of the people running the organizations. So with Link, I have to ask, of the money you guys raise, how much goes to the people you are helping, and how much is operating cost?
Yeah, that's a really a great question as well. So one of the really cool things is that we have legacy donors who are individuals and foundations who have given donations that are specifically allocated to our overhead cost, so that when individuals give, for last year, all of private donations given by individuals, 100% went to our programs. So that's just incredible that, when we reach out to high school students, when we reach out to college students, they know that their donation is going to help and support the North Korean people. So actually, last year, like I said, 100% of our supporters' donations went to our programs. So that includes awareness tours, campaigns, and media, as well as, of course, our refugee rescues and resettlement support. As far as the percentage that goes to, overhead cost, out of our expenses, 17% went to, salaries and benefits.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Sarah, I want to thank you for speaking with me. Please.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Link does great work, and I want to encourage everyone listening to this interview, and I say this about all my personal favorite charities: donate, 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 donate. Go volunteer, go work for free, go think of something interesting you could do to benefit the organization in a creative manner. Just please, you can never do enough to help other people. Thanks,
yes.
Sarah. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Evan.
Bye.
The Evan Pretzer Show will be back next week. Be sure to follow Evan on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks for listening.